everyone. Welcome to our first Third Drive stage. So we're going to start doing that, and our first live stream today is about parenting teens in quarantine. Now, Deb and I, so this is my expert right now, it's Deb. So Deb and I have 3 kids, 3 daughters, and we have 2 still at home. So we've been quarantined with them for what, over a month now? Mm-hmm. Over a month now. So, and basically, you know, it's remarkable. It's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a teen parent specifically. Teens have all kinds of amazing and wonderful things about them. But you know, emotions are sort of a strong part of it. Teens, peers are important to them. Their social life is important to them. Their rhythms are important to them. And you know, it's been remarkable to be able to sort of navigate this together with a couple of girls still in the house, right? So tell everyone about our daughters who are still in the house.
Okay, so Violetta and Bella are still at home. They're 15 and 17. Vivi is finishing up like her last week of her senior year of high school, which is very surreal. Bella is 15. They both dance and are in an acting. Vivi's in an acting conservatory. Bella is in a dance company. So this has been a big switch for them to figure out how dance works online through Zoom classes, what acting showcases are like and rehearsals are like, not live when you're used to having instant feedback, but online. We'll let them share a little bit about that. But also for us, we've been homeschooling for 11 years. So part of our day is normal for us being home and doing that school here, but then the whole part of where their socialization comes from, which is what most families are going through right now, that's really altered. So we've tried to be both very respectful of the time that they need to be alone, but also how can we help them interact with their friends online in a safe environment, and how can we make the most of our family time without it becoming too annoying or frustrating, being mindful of over communicating even what the expectations are on holidays like Easter, or even in family night, like what kind of movie do we all really want to watch and what games do we actually want to play, but listening more for them, what's going to be encouraging to them and what's just kind of going to be like salt in a wound for them. So I'd say listening and talking and touching base every day are some of the things that we've been doing.
Yes.
Hi.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
What's up? This is Vivi on the right, Violetta Flores, everybody. This is Isabella on the left.
Girls, so we were just talking about screen time, and if you could share, Vivi, what your glasses are, and tell people where you're at right now.
Like where we're at on screen
in
time?
The house.
In the house, yes.
In the house. Actually, I think my screen time has gone down. I got like a notification last weekend. I get it every Sunday. I get a notification about my screen time. And this past Sunday, it went down like 17% or something from the previous weeks. These are blue light glasses, actually. I have a lot of problems with getting migraines and insomnia because I have a business, but I do it mostly online. And when I do go to work, I work with a computer all day. And I do a lot of homework on my computer too. And so I end up getting different migraines or insomnia or just a lot of different problems from blue light, mostly from being on that screen so long. So I got these blue light glasses, which protect your eyes from harmful rays from your computer. And it's actually helped a lot. Like I sleep a lot better. I can totally tell a difference. I don't get migraines anymore. I think these have been really helpful since quarantine started. Definitely.
That's great.
Okay, girls, tell us about how you've been feeling about sort of these disruptions of rhythm that you've had, you know, losing or at least postponing prom, other things that were canceled. How do you deal with that? How does it feel for some, like, if you can be real, with people out there. I think it's going to be helpful both to teens and parents. And also, how do you deal with it? How do you, in a healthy way, progress? You know?
Yeah. You want me to go first? Okay, I'll go first. So I'm a senior, so this is like, it feels almost like this was supposed to be my last year in high school. This is my last semester. So in a way, it's almost like those last couple months of being a teenager was ripped away from me. And by the time I'm going to be out of it, I'm gonna be adult. So I'm not going to be able to have those experiences. And I'm not going to be able to cherish those moments that everybody says, like, make sure you cherish those last few times in high school. And I don't get to do that. And I don't have a warning on that. So, like, that last piece almost of, like, my childhood, that last piece of my being a teenager was just taken away, which I think that's the hardest part for it. And, like, prom, graduation, like, these are rites of passage our parents told us about and everybody else tells about. We see it in every high school TV show. We see it in every movie. And now we don't get to do that. And I think that has been really hard. But on the flip side, for me, it's also letting me spend more time with my family. Also, I am an introvert, very much so. So I'm kind of thriving in quarantine because I'm getting all this time to myself. So I'm getting a lot more time to know myself. I'm getting a lot more time to work on myself. I have noticed that through quarantine, I'm eating a lot healthier. I'm working out every single day. I'm a lot more productive. I'm a lot nicer to people just because I'm like able to get that extra time for myself. I'm able to share more. But
So,
yeah.
Violetta, when you said you're dealing with things and you're processing, can you share about some of the things that you do, like with your journaling and that helps you work out your emotions? Obviously, we have 3 girls, so we have a lot of emotions. A kind of a tagline in our family for decades has been that we control our emotions; they don't control us. But we do need to find healthy, safe physical outlets for those emotions. I think you've both done great jobs with finding outlets. Obviously, we cry, we laugh, and we cry a lot, and chocolate helps. But
Chocolate really helps.
share about some of the other things you girls have been doing, each of you.
For me, what I do, what has helped me through this is in the morning, I get into a routine. So I started a routine for myself. But I think one of the number one things, this is going to be super easy, but like the number one things that helps me is I write a to-do list. The first thing that happens is I wake up, I get my breakfast, I sit in bed, and while I'm eating my breakfast, I write down a to-do list of things that I need to do. Even if it's like as simple as, I don't know, like having lunch or making sure I work out at a certain point, or I have scheduled FaceTime calls with some friends. But I write those down. I'm not going to forget that stuff. Like, they're going to call me. I'm not going to forget it. But just being able to plan out your day and be able to see it and see how much you actually have to do, I think helps with the laziness and not, with being able to be productive.
That's great. How about you, Bella?
Well, I hate quarantine. I'm very much so an extrovert, and my friends who have energy. I get energy from being around people. So quarantine is the worst. I hate it with my entire soul. But I still like to call my friends every day, and that helps. I'm on the phone basically all day, every day, as much as I possibly can be. And I do some of the same things Vivi does. I journal. I did have a to-do list. That went away. I just school during the day that I have a list that I've already set for school, and then I work my Zoom calls and FaceTime calls with my friends around that.
How about your dance classes, your exercise, and some of the things you've done, maybe like new pets or drive-bys, things that you've been able to try?
Well, I like to go outside. I spend a lot of time outside, and I like to ride my bike with my dog next to me, and it's really nice. And I do online dance classes. A lot of the times they're not fun because it's just not the same, but they're still good to go to. For pets, well, you see, I got a fish, but before the fish was put in his tank, he had gotten a disease from being in the little dirty cup kept at PetSmart, and then he died like 6 hours after I put him in his tank. And then I got another fish, and a day later, he got the same disease. I cleaned out the tank, don't worry, I did everything to make the disease out with boiling hot water. Everything was completely clean, but he was also from the same store. And a lot of other fish in little containers next to the ones that I bought had the same disease and
So-
were dead at the
So
bottom.
did your fish get coronavirus? Be honest.
Yes.
We don't know, but I would say after talking about it, and Bella did a great presentation of like the 3 points why she wanted to try a pet. Another one, in addition to our dog, let him go ahead and try. Let him get a fish or whatever it is. Talk it through, pros and cons, and let him try new things. We've talked about different hairstyles, and we've done drive-bys for friends with birthdays. They're doing a quarantine challenge. We're going to switch to Dan here in just a second, but if you could share about the quarantine
Yeah,
challenge
tell us about
that
how
you've been doing.
how do you encourage each other as a teen group, as a youth group in the church, and how much of a difference does it make? I mean, how does it keep you engaged and sort of communicating with your friends?
It makes a huge difference. We have a separate group chat from our normal teen ministry group chat, and it's called the Quarantines. And they will send us out daily challenges, and it keeps us active, but it also keeps us in community with each other. And we basically do challenges, and we send each other videos or pictures of the challenges. I remember one week the challenge was to do a headstand. That turned out interesting. Lots of videos of stuff falling over. And we also have some other stuff we do. I know the girls, the Disciple Girls in our teen ministry, we do a prayer call. So, Bella, you can talk about that.
Oh, well, every week we've had a new prayer partner, and this is our third or fourth week?
Yeah, it's like
Something like that. And so every day you call your prayer partner and you talk about your day and how your life's going and how quarantine is affecting you, and you pray, and then you do the same thing for 7 days.
Yeah.
And then you switch partners.
But it basically gives you like a chance to pray with somebody else, but it's also, I know for me as a senior, I'm about to be leading the teen ministry, and it gets me a better chance to like socialize and get to know the girls a little more.
Tell us real quick about this is my last question about, you know, we all, I mean, I'm sort of a teenager as well. I mean, we all love electronics, right? So this idea of stopping, and she doesn't like it, but I do, of stopping and sort of turning in yourself the phones in and having this ritual that we have every night where you come down and we pray together as a family, and the phones stay there, and then you go upstairs and sort of, you know, transition into the night. Tell us the pros and cons.
I think there's mixed. I think pros are definitely we go to sleep faster. I think. Actually, wait a minute. I don't know if that's completely true. We still have each other, so we will end up talking together until like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. sometimes. But it stops again, like with the blue light, like it stimulates your brain. So I guess that's less of a problem if you have like blue light glasses, but it keeps you up later. Like that's just something it does. It affects your brain in that way. But I also think it gets you into your routine, and spending too much time on a screen is not healthy at any point in time. I know several weeks ago I actually just deleted Instagram because I realized I checked my screen time and I was spending so long on Instagram, and I realized I'm not actually doing anything on Instagram. I just end up scrolling, and then I forget what I scrolled through right after I scrolled through it, and it wastes so much time. So I actually deleted that like a month ago, and I re-downloaded it because I have a business account on there, so I have to go on that sometimes. But like, really, like most of the social media stuff, like you don't really need. And I think especially like with Instagram, you do get like a FOMO almost if you see your friends going out and doing other stuff while you're stuck in quarantine. So I think there is stuff like that that is unhealthy. But yeah, that's just my side of it.
I mean, I don't know. It kind of depends because it's good in the sense that she said that it helps you go to bed earlier, which is true, very true. But on the flip side, I like to talk to my friends a lot, and we can talk for like
Hours.
11 hours. We could be on the phone from the time we wake up.
That's very true.
Like on in the background,
You
for,
can-
for sure.
You can have a marathon. It's crazy.
So
Yeah.
Bella, for Bella, that time when we turn in our phone is really when she like hugs everybody. That's when she comes and like she gets all of her snuggles in and her hugs in.
Yeah, I like to be on the phone with my friends a lot. That's most of my screen time. Which actually, my screen time has gone down since the first week of quarantine by like 21%. So that's good. But I like to be on the phone with my friends, even if it's late at night. And we had, I think it was the first weekend that quarantine had started, and I had a FaceTime sleepover with one of my friends. So
Yeah.
we FaceTimed with like probably like 6 people. And then once it got to like midnight, we went off into our own separate singular FaceTimes, and then we were up all night on FaceTime until the next morning.
That's awesome. Well, we love you guys, and we're really proud of how you've fared and how real you've been about the heartache of being separate, and especially with us. And we're really, really proud of how you. I mean, it's a special time for us. We'll remember for the rest of our lives. Remember the time we were locked in together in the same house for a month and a half or 2 months, whatever it's going to end up. And we survived. And we thrived, actually. I think we do end up having really a lot of special time together. We watch TV together. We go on bike rides. We drive together.
We just started taking turns making dinner, which is awesome.
So Vivi made dinner for all of us, which was a very special dinner with dessert, sushi, and everything. I mean, all of those things are really cool, you know. And so we're really grateful to be your parents and really proud of you. And we know it's not easy to be a teen, but we love you with all our hearts. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. Okay, guys. So by the way, this is our first Third Drive stage, and basically the idea is to bring people who know what they're talking about, some experts, some leaders, some authors, teens who know what they're talking about, wonderful parents who know what they're talking about. And but right now, so don't forget to, if you have any questions, you can ask them in real time, and we'll try to answer. So right now, I'm gonna bring on Daniel Hagedorn. Dan and Vicky are co-founders of PK4L, or Preparing Kids for Lives. They have all kinds of resources and webinars, and they are passionate about equipping parents all over the country to shape their children into the best version of themselves. That's what they do, and they do it in conferences, they do it with churches, they do individual counseling sessions, coaching, things like that. So I'm going to bring in Dan, and we'll talk a little bit. Okay, so Dan, are you? Hey, man.
I'm here. Yeah, I can hear and everything. It's awesome. All I had to do is refresh. It was good. So
good. So yeah, we had some audio issues earlier on, but Dan is a dear friend. So Dan, obviously, I invited you first because I know you have such a wealth of expertise, and it's almost like it doesn't do you justice to do just a few minutes, like 10, 15 minutes that we have left. But I know we're going to bring back, because there's so many topics that are very specific and deep that you can address, and Vicky can address when she's available as well. But thank you for coming on. And what I wanted to ask you is questions about the power of establishing family rhythm, and how that even becomes, I mean, it's important at any time, but how that becomes particularly important during a stressful, strange, surreal time as during quarantine. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I thank you so much for having me on. I love everything you guys do. So any opportunity to do anything with you is obviously exciting for me. But I think, you know, for parents, this time it has such enormous potential. We are in a coronavirus, and I'm not taking anything away from, you know, the damage and the heartache and all that comes with it. But it's also an amazing opportunity that we could be talking about this with our kids 5 years from now as, remember when we were all locked together in the quarantine? Man, that was amazing. What an incredible time we had, you know, and the memories, right? And it's funny now, I want to backtrack just because I know sometimes people go, oh, that sounds really sunshiny, and sure, but I'm a history geek. I taught history for years. One of the things that was really interesting during World War II, something happened in England called the Blitz, and Hitler unleashed his Luftwaffe upon Britain, and they were bombing and bombing and bombing and bombing the city. And so people actually had to go below ground into the subway system, and they were below ground in the subway system. And again, now obviously there's horrible tragedy and everything, but in the midst of that, I was reading some of the letters that the children wrote, and they had some of their warmest, fondest memories because of the environment the parents created, even amidst absolutely horrors going on above ground. So I say that because it isn't just like a, yeah, wouldn't that be nice? I'm saying it's absolutely possible we can create these incredible memories. And what really anchors that in is creating a family rhythm, a family rhythm. And I believe that, you know, the Jewish people and the Hebrew culture has a lot to teach us about rhythms, you know, and I think one of the most important rhythms is just experiencing the Sabbath together. And there's a lot of different, you know, we have incredible freedom in Jesus to celebrate this however, you know, our family wants. But I do believe that setting aside that time once a week to really experience a time with our kids, with our families, and anchor that in so that once a week we're putting aside distraction. We're putting aside the things that normally get in our way, and embrace that. Because one thing that's happened too on the flip side of this coronavirus is that, you know, when we're around our families, we can kind of paper over the cracks, but they get exposed, and these are opportunities, right? A lot of times people say, oh, it's a terrible thing, and it can be, but it can also be an amazing opportunity to build these rhythms and create a completely different cycle built around how God designed things to be for the family. So
you said something really important, and I think that I was meaning actually to say that, and you said it, and I think it's the spirit moving here, is that when times of crises arrive, the cracks that are already there start showing more readily. Right. I think that's a really important thing. So in some ways, this, you know, hardship, and when we're squeezed by life and circumstances, it's a blessing that we can see things that are already under the surface, and they're there anyway.
Right.
And they're gonna eventually show up, maybe manifest themselves in a worse way.
Sure.
So it's a blessing to discover those. So tell me about something. You said something that is, you know, most of us who are, you know, if we're Christians, we hear about the Sabbath. For many of us, it's an Old Testament sort of concept that, you know, we no longer use. Deb and I have been Sabbathing for over a decade now, and it's a practice in our family. But I think to many of us out there, it's still a concept that it's almost like, well, we know what it is in theory, but we don't know what practical application there is to my life right now, and especially now in quarantine. Can you talk a little bit about the rhythm of Sabbath?
And can you share how your family celebrates it, in particular with your Friday night meals? Because that's been something very special that you've just started doing in the last year or so.
Yeah. So we actually came back from Israel. We went to Israel a couple years ago and came back, and it was mind blown. And so we felt so inspired. And you know, we've looked at this, and I think you make a great point, Christian, about it being traditionally thought of in the Western church as, you know, thing that Jewish people do, and that things that people in the Old Testament did. But you know, now it's like, I don't know. I don't want to get it. That's another conversation, but I would just encourage you to, you know, study it out. And I think you'll find that the Sabbath has a very important place and a very important role to play in our lives now. And so the way that we do it is Friday night, things stop at sundown. So sundown, Friday evening, we stop, we unplug, we connect with our family. A lot of times we have people over and they're celebrating it with us, and we're just hanging out. One of the things that our daughter does is that she makes what's called a challah bread, and it's really kind of cool. It's like this braided bread, you know, and it represents, you know, Jesus's body. For in the New Testament, it represents his body, and it's really basically like a in church, you know, we would call it communion, but really that's what the Sabbath meal, the breaking of bread, and doing this in remembrance of what Jesus did for us. And so Landry makes the challah bread, and you know, we all kind of have our own little things that we make and do, and then we put it together, and then we say a prayer over the bread, we say a prayer over the wine, we say a prayer over the candles that are kind of lighting and illuminating. And then after we pray, it's just this great conversation that happens at the table, and we just talk about things, maybe things we're learning, maybe things we're struggling with, maybe things that we're interested in looking into more, or just about life. I mean, and sometimes we'll play a game. Sometimes we'll just sit around and talk. Sometimes we'll watch a movie together, you know, but the point is just having that time. And then until sundown Saturday is the Sabbath. And so it's literally, you know, if you want, you sleep in, it's a time to rest in God. And one of the things that would really blow my mind is, I mean, can you imagine God actually has to tell us to rest? Like,
Yeah, like,
and that command is so hard for us to follow. What's up with that?
oh, it's crazy. Like, if you think about the Ten Commandments, there's one commandment there that is actually fun.
Yeah.
We ignore it, right? We totally ignore it and blow it off, and it's crazy. Okay, so can I ask you this sort of follow-up question? You
Yeah.
talk about, you know, resting in God. One of the things that I think reveals the cracks, possible cracks that you may have in your family, is that you're stuck together and there's no place to hide.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about when you talk about this importance of alignment with God in front of your kids, that they would experience you having a relationship with God and living a godly life, and then maybe as an alternative, when you fail to do that, right? Like, we all fail, we all slip,
sure.
and it's just painful.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the failure of that, with not being able to be a good example sometimes?
Yeah, that's a great question, because, hey, you know what? I mean, parents, we're all going to make mistakes. I mean, there is no perfect parent. So I think the sooner we just realize that, the better off we are. And frankly, the interesting thing, and I learned this teaching high school for 14 years, kids don't expect you to be perfect. They don't. Trust me, honestly, they don't think that you're always going to know, say, or do the right thing. They really don't believe that. But the trade-off for them giving us a pass on that, so to speak, is that we need to own our stuff. So when we make mistakes, we have to apologize and mean it. I mean, not like own it. We have to own it. And the cool thing is that not only does that build a bond with our kids of trust, but it also, and again, this is a way of how do we help our kids become personally responsible for their own lives? By living it in front of them. So when we make a mistake, we own it. We don't blame something else. We don't put it off. We don't minimize it. We don't compare it. We just simply own what it was that we said or did. We apologize and mean it, and we move forward, right? And honestly, as simple as that sounds, it's huge, because this is my experience working with kids I worked with high school kids for 30 years in one way or another, but high school teacher 14 of those years. And man, the only unforgivable sin, if you want to call it that, is hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. And the teachers that were hypocrites, man, it was like Shark Week. Ooh, the kids would just be on them. And so as we're living this out in front of our kids, as we're living in alignment with the way that God designed the family to be, when we fall short of that, we just need to own it. We don't need to book a guilt trip on Expedia.com and go off, right? We need to just focus and say, all right, this is what I did. I'm really, really sorry, and just own it. And as we do that, we're going to build that trust. The other thing that we can do living this out and kind of, as the cracks might emerge, is first of all, don't feel guilty about that. Again, just own it. Just say, yes, this is coming up. Yes, I'm feeling this. Yes, I'm seeing this. And understanding that in that space, you are in that moment totally and completely loved by God. In fact, it's a wonderful opportunity for you to invite God into that space and bring healing to you and bring encouragement to you and show you the path forward. And the more that we do that, not like live some artificially perfect life in front of our kids, but the more we do that authentically, the more our kids see and connect to, oh, God loves unconditionally and completely. And wherever we are, he is willing to meet us there, but he doesn't want us to stay there. And so it's this amazing opportunity that we have each and every time. Like, honestly, everything can be seen as an obstacle or an opportunity. And when we come up against these things that happen, right, in our family lives, it's an opportunity for our kids to see us live in the presence of God and how we interact with God, right? Not hopefully as a series of boxes that we check, and not as, okay, I've dutifully done X, Y, and Z, but literally authentically make mistakes. We own it. We bring it to God. We invite God in for healing. We are actively involved in our faith in front of our kids. They are seeing us grow and heal in front of them because of the power and strength of God. And part of that happens when we live in alignment with him. In fact, I'm going to suggest that's the only way that happens, is living in alignment with God. And that's what we're all about.
Awesome. Well, thank you, my friend. I really appreciate your input. Everyone, we're going to have you back. There's all kinds of topics about parenting that we'll dive into over time, and how to create an emotionally healthy home. That's something that you specialize in and talk about it a lot. When children grieve, you talk about that a lot. There's all kinds of really valuable stuff that you guys bring to the table. So we'll bring you back and talk about those things as well. But thank you again for doing that. I mean, especially for mentioning, being real and dealing with your stuff. Even yesterday, I went for on a ride with Bella. Bella is learning. She has her driver's permit, and so we went on a ride, and it really helps her. And I got a call during the ride, and it was one of those. It's an important call. It was scheduled actually for the day after on my calendar, but then the person who scheduled missed but the thing is, I had to join the call. Basically, I didn't have a choice. So I had to join the call. The whole ride with Bella, I was on the phone. And I came back, and Deb, told me, hey, I think Bella was a little sad because it wasn't special because you were not there. So I just went upstairs immediately and dropped everything, went upstairs, and I talked to her and I said, look, honey, I'm so sorry. I really, really wanted to be with you. And there was this need, and it was literally it was on my calendar for the next day at the same hour. And I'm so sorry. Awesome. I'll make it up to you. And I love you so much. And, so we talked about it, and she was so easy, and she was like, oh, no problem. Yeah. But I think it's important to own that. Anyway, so I'll let you go, but I have the URL for PK4L on the screen right now. there's all kinds of resources that Dan and Vicky have, all kinds of resources. Just go there. They really work a lot with individuals through coaching and with churches through doing workshops and other things. There's a group. There's all kinds of stuff there. You can see it all. You can get in touch with them on that website as well. But thank you again, Dan, for coming. We love you so much, and we'll see you around. We'll have you back.
All right. Thank you so much I appreciate this opportunity, and just honestly, thank you for using your stage. You could be doing anything with this, and you're using your stage to try to reach out and help people and encourage them and support them. And I just, hats off to you, man. I really appreciate all that you do.
Awesome. Love you. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up, guys. If you have any last minute questions or responses, actually, things that you hated about this, this is sort of a first go. But we figured this could be an opportunity for us to tap a lot of shoulders. We're so blessed with tons of people who are really leaders and experts, and we have access to them. And I thought, man, there's so much value that we can bring to people's lives if we can just invite them to this and say, hey, can you share your expertise, something that is transformative. So I'm going to let Deb wrap us up as a mom, because moms are our heroes. They're on the front line. They're the nurturing ones. I mean, in our, at least, dynamic, she's the nurturing one. Can you just wrap us up with some parting thoughts for moms who are parenting teens in quarantine?
Yeah, okay. So there's no wrong way to do this, because it's never been done by us in our generation before. So I would just say delight in your children, make the most of this time, let go of a lot of the homework and the expectations. I realize it's high school and this is going to go on their transcripts, and I think there can be anxiety with that. We have really chosen to make this actually our whole homeschool experience, but especially this time, make it something special and memorable that they'll look on in the future. They'll look back on with joy and gratitude, and not resentment. So whatever it's going to take to make this fun and happy, healthy, memorable, it's really less about what they're learning and more about who they're becoming. This time with your kids is a gift. It's such a gift from God. It's a time to focus on character and relationships within the family, with each other, especially their relationships with God, your relationship with God. And again, it's who they're becoming. It's not about the academics. It's not about what they're learning. We're so incredibly grateful for God's grace, and his love covers a multitude of sins. Our love for one another covers a multitude of sins. So really focusing on it being a peaceful, happy, fun time together, and delight in one another. It's a blessing. It's such a blessing from God that we have this time. That's it.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to probably keep doing this. So please tell us how you feel about this. Any comments at all? Subscribe to the Third Drive Faith page if you want to get some updates every once in a while. Share it with your friends if this is useful. This is going to stay on. And we're going to keep bringing you just valuable expertise in different areas of life, hopefully, that are going to be transformative for you. And that's sort of our prayer, is that whatever we do here, we bring people who can bring transformative ideas into your life that you can implement in your life on a regular basis. Thank you again for joining us for the first edition of Third Drive Stage.